You're listening to the We Are Libertarians Podcast Network. Find all of our shows at wearelibertarians.com. You're listening to the We Are Libertarians Network. Learn more at wearelibertarians.com.
Welcome to the Boss Hog of Liberty podcast. This is episode number 332. I think that's the new Lisbon episode. Is this the new Lisbon episode of Boss Hog of Liberty? Checking local listings. 332. Did you ever dial New Lisbon as a kid?
No, I never have.
What? You can Google that while I'm finishing up. I think this is the new Lisbon episode of the Boss Hog of Liberty. The 765-332. We're East Centralia's favorite podcast, since Juice in the Morning conceded that to us. By the way, Juice, you're looking very orange. I'm Jeremiah Morrell, today joined by executive video producer, audio engineer, cross-country coach, Zach Burcham, and my forever co-host, Mr. Dakota Davis.
Today's episode features the three of us. We're going to be covering some local stuff that happened, and then basically there's an explosion. Some bombs went off. It was like the Gaza Strip in Newcastle, Indiana, and then the Bicentennial Bison was stolen from behind the Courier-Times building.
Allegedly.
Jeremiah's got something to do with racing in here. And
That's
then
Zach's story. That's Zach's contribution to the show.
Also, Jeremiah wants to talk about Groundhog Day. So we're going to talk about that
Again.
as well.
I was left
Again.
unsupervised. Dakota had a medical condition, and I made the notes, and I said, oh, watch me do this.
I'll say this. Anytime that Jeremiah makes the notes, he usually stuffs in like 7 or 8 things. If I make the notes, there's 2-3 topics tops, unless it's candidate interviews. And Jeremiah, you only did 4 topics this week.
I left things
You're
out.
getting a lot better. We're making progress.
4
4 is a splendid compromise.
I reserve
Gentlemen,
the right to add more shit
Raise
at the
a
end.
toast to the 4.
This show's about our lives in rural Indiana. We're here to push your boundaries and make you think as individuals. Sometimes we'll provoke you. Other times we'll make you laugh. But hopefully you'll always learn something new. Zach, did we learn what the exchange is for New Lisbon, Indiana?
Yeah, we did. It actually is 332.
God, I can't wait till we get
You know what, though? Thankfully, the only way I was like, how do you even look that up? And I remembered New Lisbon Telephone Company.
Yeah, that would do it.
I looked it up. And
That would do it. Are we going to get to 521 or 529?
I don't know.
Probably about 4 years away.
From 529.
521 and 529. Those are the Newcastle numbers.
Yeah.
Episode 529.
Oh, yeah. I see what you're saying now.
Sorry.
I was lost.
If you guys join
minute.
Patreon, you'll understand why Dakota's senses are dulled. Or if you're watching the live stream, you might look at the table and figure out what the hell happened.
Patreon.com/Boss Hog of Liberty. That's where you can go to support the show every month. Starts out at $5 a month, and you can do any kind of package, but you get access to a bonus episode that happens every single week where we talk about things. We try different things. This week, we did a taste testing of 4 different Buffalo Trace distillery items,
Including their latest, the Traveler.
Right. Very exclusive.
It is awkward. Chris Stapleton is the guy that Traveler is named after. And he get an album named Traveler. And he has a song called Tennessee Whiskey. And where does his whiskey come from?
Kentucky.
It's troubling.
Yeah, but
But he didn't know.
you know,
He didn't know at the time that he was going
the
to have...
name from George Jones anyway.
He
And
didn't-
George Jones's Tennessee Whiskey is a much better song.
He did not know that he was going to have a sweet, sweet deal with the number 1 bourbon country in America based in Kentucky.
Anyway, we tried 4 different products. If you want to see our reactions, then you can go to patreon.com/Boss Hog of Liberty, support the show. You can go to the website now, I believe. I don't think it's down anymore. Chris Spangle fixed it for us. And then, see how we rated them. See if you agree, disagree. Maybe you hate our guts because you think I said one of them tastes awful.
That's not why I hate you.
Different reasons for different folks.
Dakota, do you want to take attendance today?
What do you mean? Oh, the host scoreboard?
Yeah.
It's already up there. It's on the live
Well,
stream.
you got to read it off. This is a podcast first. Podcast first.
I can read it off. You got
All
the
right.
host scoreboard.
This is for the year. We're keeping track of 2023.
Zach and Dakota tied
24.
at 4.
Yes.
Jeremiah with 5.
First place.
And Mark falling quickly behind with 1.
I don't think we invited him this week, so
No, we did not.
that might be Zach's fault. Lifetime standings, I'm still sitting at 332. Will that continue? I don't know. Might need a sick day. We got to say thank you to some folks, Dakota.
That's right. $50 or more a month gets you a shout out at the front of every episode. And those folks are Mr. Jonathan Phillips from Andy Moore Buick and GMC in Fishers, Indiana. Mr. Anthony Meyer.
Also of Henry County Council at large candidacy.
Yes. Mr. Anthony Meyer, who is, do you think return season has ended for Christmas?
I can only tell you one thing. Anthony was in Muncie, Indiana today. I know you're not in the Walnuts chat. The old the writers' room amongst the Wall Heartland Empire, but it appears that he was at the maybe I don't know for sure. He didn't fully share, but the best guess I had is maybe he was doing something with Carter Lumber on the north side of Muncie.
All right. Then Miss Christy Avery from all the way in Fort Wayne, Indiana. We appreciate their support very much. Also, if you do want any Boss Hog of Liberty merchandise, then all you have to do is send us an email or drop a voicemail on the website, and we will get that made and contact you about exactly what you want. So,
big scuttlebutt last night. Relatively quiet news week in Henry County. Sometimes we know, like, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, what the show's going to be. We know what it is.
pretty easy.
And I had a very real case of senioritis this week. I was out of town for half the week. I am jumping on an airplane this weekend and getting the hell out of this dark, dark land. And I'm like, Dakota's got it. He planned a great show last week. I'm sure he's got another one planned this week. And then last evening, we're all sitting at home, and I thought we had a gate slam shut outside. It was just a loud bang, and I only heard one. Zach, you live in the city limits in municipal Newcastle,
Pretty much in the middle of Newcastle.
and you heard some commotion.
I heard 2. Yeah, I heard one. I thought it was like a clap of thunder. I thought, well, that's strange. But it had like thunder can have that, like that residual, like the boom, and then there's like, it rumbles down. And then I heard it again. And I was like, am I hearing things? And so then I ran in, and one of my kids, like,
So you were outside?
no, I wasn't doing dishes. Me and Brian Nichols at opposite ends of Park Drive were doing dishes, and he heard it too. And I went into the front room and was like, "Did you guys hear that?" And my one son was a little freaked out. He's like, "Did we just get nuked?" I was like, "No, that's not nuked." I was like, something just happened. And so, yeah, I heard 2 booms. I think I heard that there were 3 total, but they were loud and they shook the house. I didn't know where it was coming from. So
Now, you were in Spiceland, Dakota.
Correct.
You did not report anything, but you might have been occupied. You don't know. You probably had Waylon Jennings in your ear, and you just weren't participating.
At what time, approximately?
6:50
So I would have been up and doing stuff.
You're probably doing dishes. If you'll check the chat, well, I knew this was going to be a thing.
Actually, I was probably in the shower.
So
that might have been why you didn't hear it.
you were doing your grooming.
I'm sure Audrey was in the shower, or I was in the
Whoa.
shower.
Oh, okay.
Whoa.
Audrey was
Well,
reading a book.
In the shower? We got waterproof books?
No. I got a toddler. That's not
I've heard a lot of euphemisms, but reading a book's a new one.
It's a real page turner.
Can't wait to crack it open.
Library bound. All right, moving on. Pull out the we collected some theories that locals had.
Yeah.
Of course, you had the I farted. I'm sorry, I had Taco Bell. I farted.
Yeah, got
that was out there immediately. If you go with that as your theory, you should be ashamed of
That was
yourself.
Spangle.
Yeah, that's Spangle's joke every time, I suppose. But a number of other people do that as well. Dakota, what did we come up with here?
Someone said they were driving, saw the fireworks. Someone said maybe it was aliens.
Aliens, yes. That's a meme.
Someone else said I thought that the football team just scored.
They do light off a cannon when they score.
It's January.
Patreon member Nancy Custer said that maybe the government is constructing a secret tunnel.
Secret underground tunnel blew up.
Honestly, more possible than the football team scoring being the reason why.
I heard a rumor of a cannon being fired.
I would believe that, knowing some folks that I do around town.
Another gentleman said that last night was the last day of raccoon season. So
now
maybe they found the big one.
I did hear, I spoke to somebody in the Westwood area who said they thought they heard something out there. So then they fired a few shots off too. And maybe that could have been it.
A few shots from what?
Something.
Someone else said, I saw an explosion in the sky. Don't know about fireworks.
So it went from a bunch of theories to, I saw fireworks. And then people started, because everybody was like, where did it come from? I thought it came from the west side of my house. Zach, you thought it came from the north side of your house.
Yeah, but I acknowledged that where I was standing adjacent to a north-facing window, so that was also naturally where the sound was going to come from.
And as it turned out, we were both right. Yes. Allegedly, it came from the Denny's edition, as they call it, which is out. If you have any familiarity of Henry County, Indiana, or if you want to jump on the Google Maps, it is a housing edition closest to WMDH, the FM radio station out here in town. Just outside of town.
So it would have been west of you.
West of me, northwest. Yep. Clint Weaver is in the chat. He says happened at 7:45, about 400 yards from his house.
I don't know Clint, but I was going to message some members of his family because I am aware that the Weaver family homestead is just east of Clearview Drive.
Witnessed 3 from his front porch. How just standing out on the front? That is full Midwestern right there.
Full
just standing out there hoping something goes off so you can see it. You could have rolled tape, Clint. Witnessed the 3 from my front porch. Orange sparks, then the explosion, but no fireworks. So there were a lot of conversations, and the EMS was saying that, we got reports of fireworks. Calm down, everybody. It's just fireworks.
It's just until.
But then the social media reports were like, I felt it from Cadiz.
Yeah,
like it was far.
There were reports like Cadiz, Charlottesville, Spiceland. I think one person commented who is in New Lisbon is where she lives. And so, and I heard there are people that were closer that didn't hear it, but I think it kind of depended on topography or whatever.
So I guess.
But there was the radius that this thing was felt,
the entire
and
county.
Heard, it was like
except for Spiceland because Dakota was in the shower.
But I bet there were people from Spiceland
for library time.
Mason Rottinghouse said he heard it, and so it was like a 15-mile radius that this thing was heard and felt. And you're like, wait a minute.
So something we've talked about on this show, and what I thought of is that there is a natural gas pipeline that runs north and south. It goes from Michigan all the way to the Gulf of Mexico, and it goes straight through Henry County. And I'm like, well, shit, they're working on a bunch of gas lines out near Westwood. And I know we had in 1993, October of 1993, it's like living through the blizzard of 78, Zach.
Yep.
If you were alive at the time, you remember this thing.
Yeah, I actually do, yeah.
Might I say, potentially more scary than the blizzard of 78. It wasn't just snowfalls. It was a giant ball of flames that blew apart a field.
I did not feel or witness the actual explosion, but I do remember I was at basketball practice, YMCA basketball practice at Green Street Elementary School, and we went in, and normally we come out of practice and it would be dark, and we came out of practice and it was not dark. It was like sunset, and we got home and it's still sunset. And an hour later, it still feels like sunset. But when I got home, my mom's got old windows that have springs in them, and the springs were vibrating. You could hear them. And you looked off to the west, and it looked like perpetual sunset over there. There was a pipeline that was, burning, and it's at an incredible rate.
So that made the national news back 30 years ago, 31 years ago.
I believe in Louisville, you could see it back then.
Yeah, it was the A&R pipeline had exploded. Nobody was killed, but it was a hell of a story. There's if you are a patron, you got the show notes and you got some links to what happened and the gigantic hole that it blew in the field. They think it was caused by damage because somebody's putting drain tile in and then they clipped
it. Yeah, luckily for the people that did it, there was a delay between hitting it and the actual explosion.
I would think that a natural gas pipeline would be way deeper than field tile.
This is I'm not here to investigate that, but that was my thought, right? I'm like, these guys have been working on gas lines. That was where I went. Some other people were like meth lab, and I'm like, I
It was
guess.
so loud.
I guess.
I'll tell you, my initial thought was I had been over feeding my mom's cats, and I'm a sucker for, I was trying to be nice to them, so I turned the gas fireplace on every day. And when I turned it off, I lost the pilot light for it and was messing around with it. And I was but I turned it all the way off. And my first thought is damn it, I didn't get the gas turned all the way off. And my mom's house just exploded. That was my initial thought.
And you killed all of her cats.
Killed all the cats, probably took out 3 neighborhood houses. That was my initial thought.
Zach was freaking out.
Oh God.
Oh God. Oh God.
Everybody thinks it's their fault.
Yeah, I was well, I kept the cats alive one day short of necessary, and then just obliterated them.
It's a Burcham family insurance money scheme.
Yeah, that was my initial thought. I was man, I hope. I even looked out the window and looked over towards my mom's house. I was I don't see anything from over there. I think I'm good.
So ultimately, what I did is I then reached out to the sheriff. I'm if they're sending all these folks out there, we have a good working relationship with Sheriff Sproles here on the Boss Hog, and he said that they received more than 50 911 calls.
I no doubt they did.
Social media was going absolutely incredible. The sheriff saw it from 3 miles away, and he said that some people had reported that it knocked them down in their house nearly a mile away. That seems extreme.
I think that was a bit of a stretch.
Clint Weaver said he was standing on his porch.
Well, Clint's obviously a real man.
Clint's obviously way stronger than any of those.
They found that there were 5. Apparently, if you were standing close enough, you knew exactly where it came from. And there's also some reports that allegedly, after the big explosions happened, these individuals may have potentially shot up some fireworks. Just be it was fireworks, guys. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. I still want to know, for legality purposes, what constitutes a firework in Indiana.
Yeah.
Some defense attorneys may need to be working on that strategy here before too long. But there were 5 males that were encountered, according to the sheriff, and he said that the folks claimed to be setting off small legal fireworks.
Small. They shook an entire town.
That's
too close to the sun, boys. There did not appear to be any visible damage, which is incredible if it knocked somebody down in their house a mile away.
And there is a subdivision, actually kind of 2 subdivisions right there. There's the Denny Addition, and there's a smaller one just to the east of there with just a field in the middle. So the state police Central EOD team leader is involved, and they're continuing an investigation. So I don't know where this is going to go. At least we know there's nobody else that's in danger now. But it was impressive at how quickly the detective work happened by the community of Henry County, Indiana. Yeah.
To chase down this the fireworks.
I felt bad, but I posted almost immediately. I even comment, my Facebook post was, I'll be that guy who heard the booms, because I knew that Facebook in Newcastle was about to just get lit up, because this is the kind of thing that a small town thrives on every once in a while, is investigating.
What's that helicopter?
Investigating via social media what's just happened, and then all the crazy theories and all that other stuff. So,
but 99 times out of 100, the loud bang was somebody shot a gun. Right? Perfectly legal. Somebody shot a gun. Why do they allow fireworks in January? This is stupid.
Yeah.
This was actually a thing.
I was aware. I mean, when I felt the second one and I could feel it, and I was this is not normal. I was something just, my thought was, if it wasn't my mom's, it was somebody's house. I thought a house just exploded or something, because it had that kind of concussion.
And if you're 20 years older than us, I believe there was an issue at one point where a bunch of fighter planes crashed in Wayne County, where multiple aircraft went down all at once in an ice storm. So there were planes crashing from the sky. I mean, any number of these things could make sense.
Don't forget about the famous Dunreath Railroad accident.
And of course, the Dunreath Railroad accident. Of course, those tracks are gone now, so it'd be hard to have that. It'd be a ghost train.
But
we had all kinds of weird ass stuff happen.
Well, there's a story.
We had the Goodyear blimp crashed in Dunreath once into power lines.
I grew up with, my dad's family's from Richmond. There was an explosion in Richmond years ago that
Downtown.
leveled an entire city block.
That killed multiple.
It leveled. And if you've been to downtown Richmond is a fairly dense. It's
a real city.
Real city. So to level a block of downtown Richmond is impressive. So there are these stories of stuff exploding, and then once in a while, once or twice a year, somewhere in the country, a house explodes because of a gas leak, and Yeah.
Natural gas is no joke. There's a reason that they have to add this stuff to make you smell it.
Yeah.
It's very dangerous.
So do we have a guess? Everybody, we think it's tannerite.
I definitely think it's tannerite.
How much does it take to become illegal at this point? Like, can you set a cannon off in your backyard? Can you grow a big? Can you get a big hole in the yard and just blow something up?
At some point, you cross the line to public endangerment.
Yeah, that's what I was discussing. Is because I know that Cade mentioned he thought tannerite, and I don't have any familiarity with tannerite.
Because you can just buy that at. It's
tannerite
not
is very
substance.
Tannerite's very legal, but then it sounds like from talking to people about that there is a formula to the safe use of tannerite, and that the one person I talked to, he said his immediate thought was, oh, that was tannerite, but not in a quantity that anybody should be using. So I have a hunch that what's going to happen is they're going to get in trouble for public endangerment,
and they sell it to where the way that they sell it, the mixing procedure does not create something that is going to be extreme.
Yeah.
How many years would you have to be going and buying tannerite to create the amount of chaos?
I don't know.
That's
Do you
the thing,
have to be a senior citizen to have accumulated enough of this?
And enough chaos to do it, actually to do it like 2 or 3 times, because it wasn't just one boom. It was like successive booms.
Right.
It does sound like somebody was cleaning out.
A couple of seconds
It does sound
apart.
like somebody got into grandpa's safe and just started blowing stuff up.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think that Cade's thing, and I don't know anything about it, so I'll reference what Cade was saying in one of the chats we were in, is that like for 1 pound, you have to be within 100 yards away. And he said, but there's a video of a guy who put 5 pounds in a lawnmower and ended up losing a limb.
Yeah.
Because part of the lawnmower came back on him.
There's people doing it with
I think you can get on YouTube and see a lot of videos of people doing
chest
things
freezers
with
and all kinds of stuff.
I don't think you want to create shrapnel.
No,
that's probably a bad choice. Bad choice. So now that we have all these people that are social media investigators, there is a very, very late breaking story that we need to talk about. Right here in downtown Newcastle, Indiana, every county in Indiana had, for the 200th year, 1816 to 2016, every county had a buffalo that was represented at the Indiana State Fair. And every community was given a buffalo to take back home. And our buffalo used to sit down at the arts park, and then it got moved, and it's not there. Some of them are county. There are some that are just they're randomly around, or most communities still have them. Apparently, ours was down for maintenance, and it was stored behind the hub, the Courier Times building. And on January 17th, somebody has absconded with our bison.
Yeah,
it is gone. It is a concrete, life-size, full-scale buffalo.
A crime like this doesn't happen.
It's not life-size.
Since the Mac
buffalo are huge.
Since the Mac cow
baby
was stolen.
buffalo are smaller than this bison. It is
baby buffalo.
It is
life-size.
Life-size to
statue.
at some point of a life. Yeah, during the life cycle of a bison. Yeah,
and it's gone. So, if you have a theory, if you have the buffalo, if you know where the buffalo is, if you happen to have been a witness, allegedly, and the link is shared. Once again, join Patreon, get the show notes. The link is there. The Henry County 200 Facebook page has posted it. There's an 8-minute video that shows somebody loading the concrete buffalo onto a flatbed roll-off slide wrecker.
Which I would think would round it down.
There
to
can't be a hell of a lot of those around.
I'm not sure.
Unless
Maybe
it was
a
an
dozen.
outside job, and maybe just possibly some bastards from the region came down here and stole our buffalo.
My money's on Rush County.
I'm going to say, maybe Rush County. I was going to say maybe it was Burns Harbor. Maybe a band of thugs from Burns Harbor came down here and they stole our buffalo. I don't know. Can't prove anything.
I didn't realize it was concrete. How is it?
I would suspect it is. I mean,
it's a hollow form, though, right?
I don't know. I've never looked at it that close.
No,
as far as I know, it's a 7-ton buffalo.
It used to be in front of like the art center, the art annex. For a while, it's been at quite a time.
It used to sit at like 10th and 14th and Broad.
Yeah,
right here in Newcastle.
Yep.
And now it's gone. So keep your eyes peeled. If your neighbor all of a sudden has some surprising new large lawn art, we're missing a lot of statues in this town because we're also missing a Trojan.
Yeah.
There's also a Trojan that's no longer with us that used to sit at State Road 3 in Indiana.
However, I do know where the Doughboy statue is.
I was going to say, has anybody looked at where the Doughboy was? How funny would it be if it showed up where the Doughboy was?
Nancy,
Yeah.
Hell, that would tell you nobody's been looking in a while. Nancy Kashner says that it's fiberglass. Okay. Well, it's a lot easier to steal if it's fiberglass.
That
Nancy.
makes sense. That
Yeah.
makes sense.
Indiana should have invested in concrete. Nobody would have stolen
They
it.
didn't need the wrecker truck then.
The fact that, they use a rollback. It's like, I would think that there's a handful of rollbacks in Henry County.
Somebody has stolen our buffalo and would like it back.
Yeah.
And we want to proudly display. Dakota that's the best proposal I've heard to reuse the Doughboy space, is to put our buffalo there.
That wasn't my proposal. That was Zach. That's all
I was just saying, has anybody looked there?
right.
Because it's a natural spot to put it.
I
When
think
the show's over, we're getting some flashlights and we're driving out to the park. Who takes a buffalo?
I don't know. And
How does this? How is that okay?
They're asking for whoever took it to please just bring it back because they think that maybe the person thought that it was like free for the taking. I don't.
Who goes dumpster diving and says, "Good day today"? Have you checked eBay, Zach? Is there a life-size buffalo
Also,
available on eBay with the Blanton stoppers?
January 17th, wasn't that during the polar vortex?
Oh yeah, I bet it was.
So it would have been below zero outside.
It's a good time to steal stuff.
Yeah. No one's watching.
Nobody's walking around. Yeah.
But it's a great time to visit a coffee shop, which is the building that they stole it from. Who knows?
We'd like our buffalo back. If you're watching, if you know it, call Crime Stoppers. I think that at this point, I think that legitimately, they just want it back. They are in the asking nicely phase, and maybe a little bit of pleading. But 92 of these exist. 92 counties had one. It needs to come back home to Henry County.
Yeah.
So
they're just
dear
asking
people of Burns Harbor, send the buffalo back.
I think
south.
they're even. I don't know, unless somebody else saw it, they didn't actually release the video or anything that was really identifiable. They just kind of said what happened, and they said in hopes that whoever took it didn't think that they were committing a crime and now knows that they committed a crime and will bring it back. I'm assuming that they'll release more information if that doesn't happen.
I am curious why it was just. I don't know what the story is on it.
Why would it not just been back in front of the art annex?
I thought it could have been gone there. It could have gone on the courthouse lawn. I don't know.
There's even a little area in front of the hub that you could have stuck it in that little, because that's got a little courtyard area.
Right.
Feels like a public art display.
You put it where the Christmas tree was in the 1400 Plaza.
Yes.
There's a bunch of spots.
Put it outside of this very studio.
Yeah, right outside. Put it in the studio. Probably could throw
I
it
don't
there.
think the
You can
floor
fit it
could
in
take
there.
it. Maybe
It's
since
fiberglass.
Probably, yeah. If it's fiberglass, yeah. If it's concrete, not so much.
We don't have it. You don't need to come checking here.
No.
We definitely do not have a buffalo statue just off camera over here.
You can check next Monday. Brian Nichols will be in all day.
Brian would like to investigate for your. We've got a hot tip. You've stolen a buffalo. All right. Segment 3, Zach. Segment 3. The Americans have been spurned by the Europeans again.
Yeah.
Andretti Global, Andretti Autosport, based in Indiana. This is where Dakota's going to go on break.
I am 100%.
He pulls his phone out.
Not even
He
going to pay
just
attention.
turns down.
I'm not going to pay attention.
He's gone.
As soon as you say segment 4, I'll be back.
Yeah.
I'm going to deduct a point on his scoreboard over there. He's back down to 3.5.
He's at 3.5.
I was going to say a half a point. Maybe a quarter.
Just missed a segment. Not fully participating.
It's the aggressiveness in which you checked out.
He didn't even hide it.
No,
He's just like, well, I'm not needed for this. Gonna call it. Hi, Audrey. How you doing? Are you in the shower? Oh, book night. All right.
Leans off mic.
So the Andrettis and General Motors, some big names, they've been trying to get onto the Formula One grid for, I don't know, 3-4 years.
Yeah.
Well, our fans asked for this segment. Did you even see this, Dakota? They're literally, Ron Milford is like, you guys going to talk about Andretti F1? Yes.
Ron's been watching this show long enough to understand. He knows how it is.
The fans literally requested this segment. You're like, screw it. I'm going to pour some more bourbon.
I have nothing to add. What am I going to add? Oh, interesting.
The everyman's opinion.
Very cool.
So you'll love these numbers.
Andretti Global, named after Mario Andretti.
Well,
Mario's involved.
Or Michael, because it's his team.
Yeah. So, Zach, lead us through this.
So they've been trying to become the 11th team on the grid. They fought resistance at every step of the way. And then Michael has kind of pulled kind of trump cards all on the way. They said, whoa, and you have a price? He's like, yeah, I've got Cadillac. And then I think he's got his engine deal figured out. They have a car.
They've built a car.
They
wanted to start competing in 2025.
Yeah.
They're building a factory, a facility in Indianapolis to run cars out of.
And the problem was, there's two problems. One is that they love the United States money, but they've never really liked the United States in terms of they don't think the drivers are worth anything. And yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on there. Like there's technically a U.S. owned team in Haas F1, but I think that they're based out of the UK like everybody else. And there's not an American on the team, I don't think. But they signed what they call their Concord agreement in like 2019.
Named after the airplane?
Yeah, it's about successful at this point. But they did it before Drive to Survive. And so that sets out all there's a real strange structure to how F1 does money in terms of like teams win money based on the manufacturer points and stuff like that and what entry fees are. And they put the entry fee if a team wanted to come in at that point at $200 million. Well, then COVID happens, Drive to Survive happens.
Exponential
growth. They go from having one race in the United States, and now they have 3.
5 in North America, 1 in Canada, 1 in Mexico, 3 in the United States.
3 in the United States, yeah. They got
Montreal, Austin, Miami, Las Vegas, and Mexico City.
Yeah.
I'm Ron Burgundy?
Yeah.
I think it's Mexico City.
And the Vegas race was just shockingly good, despite having some growth pains. So the report was they weren't really going to want them to do it, because they want to redo the Concord agreement in a couple of years, and they want to bump up the entry fee to $600 million. Because basically what that is they call it, it's a, forgot.
They're diluting the money that everybody gets out of the pool. So they think that you have to make up for it by paying in.
So
each team would have gotten $20 million.
I think more and more people thought Andretti had a shot, but they told him yesterday, I think it was yesterday, you're not in.
And they didn't just say, hey, no. They released a 20 bullet point. You suck here. You suck there. We don't like this. We don't like that.
We don't think you'll be competitive.
They did not let them have any grace at all. They pretty much insulted General Motors, our biggest auto manufacturer in North America. The Andretti's, the biggest name in motorsports in the United States. They just pissed all over all of them to the point where Michael Andretti was like, This is.
He said he was devastated, and he can't come up with any other words to say he was. I'm not even sure how you're going to knock on GM, because I don't think that the plan was even for them to. They weren't going to make their own motors at first, and somebody said, "Well, that's the case now." I think Mercedes and Renault and Ferrari make almost all the motors. I'm not sure if maybe
Honda does, or
Honda backed out.
So
it's like a 3-engine provider deal now for most of the teams.
The ultimate story, because they had literally signed Colton Herta, who's been driving an IndyCar for the Andretti's. He was meant to be
reportedly
a driver
making
for
F1
them,
money,
making very big money. They said, "Well, come back in 2028. We'll have a new Concord agreement with a new number." That we don't want to give you this coupon, this discount basement number of $200 million. We'd like a cool $1 billion out of you, Cadillac and Mr. Andretti, to come play in our sandbox.
Yeah,
it's ugly. So, I guess officially the Ball Hog of Liberty podcast is boycotting F1 and all of Europe. Dakota, you can come back in now.
I have been this whole time.
You got a Revolutionary War quote you want to give us or anything?
No, I was just going to
screw the Brits.
I was agreeing with you. I'm saying I have been boycotting F1 this entire time.
I think it's actually the French. FIA is French. I think, yeah. But it's FOM or something like that. It's a marketing group.
The other part of this that's really insane is that the folks that own F1 now
are American.
Are an American group.
And they own part of an IndyCar team. They own part of Meyer Shank.
Liberty Media,
yeah. So that's weird.
Segment 4. Dakota, do you know what tomorrow is?
Groundhog Day.
Again.
I think you have to say it. I hate that movie, though.
Do you hate the movie?
I can't stand it. I watched it once. I'm like, good.
It's a good
whatever.
movie.
I don't doubt it is. There's
I
some
think
movies,
it's a top 10 all time for me.
No. I watched it once and never need to see it again.
So tomorrow is February 2nd. It is Groundhog Day.
Again.
We have survived the 75 days of January.
Legit. And the sun literally came out on the 1st of February.
It did.
It did.
I felt so much better.
It was. I mean, I was joking. I'm like, I was being that guy all the time. People are like, man, this weather. I'm like, yeah. I mean, it's January 45th. Christmas was 7 weeks ago, and we haven't seen the sun since Thanksgiving. And I was like, it's what it felt like. It either been below freezing or misting rain until yesterday.
And I was totally fine. I would rather have the sub-zero temperature with the sun out.
Yeah, absolutely. A crisp, cold day is not too bad.
Yeah. Versus 40 degrees, fog, constant, disgusting rain.
I don't know. When you have a heat pump, 40 degrees, you can actually make some decent heat at home, and it's real cheap to heat your house. But I hate it. I also hate the darkness. The darkness. We just got through like the darkest 10-week period of the calendar year. Like this is the Groundhog Day is like the moment it turns. You're through the worst of January. February, November, you've got Thanksgiving. You can still go camping first weekend or second weekend in November. You've got Thanksgiving. It's not too bad. December can be okay for a while. You've got Christmas. You get to January, and January is the suckiest month on the calendar.
That's when I'm just going to say it. My birthday's in January. My wife's birthday's in January. My niece and my nephew, both their birthdays are in January too.
Still
it sucks.
Still sucks. So we get to February 1st. The sun comes out. February 2nd, the Dutch are responsible for the custom. I looked into this today.
Really?
Like, why the hell do we care about it? The Pennsylvania Dutch are why we do this. And they grab the rodent in Puxatawney, Pennsylvania. They pull it out, and if it sees a shadow, if he sees his own shadow, I don't know how he says he sees a shadow. This happens so damn early in the morning. I never wake up in time. I've never seen it happen live. I don't know if CNN covers it.
I also have the theory, how can he tell if he sees a shadow when they have 1 million cameras and lights aimed at him?
So if he sees a shadow tomorrow morning, it is 6 more weeks of winter, which means March 15th. If he does not see his shadow, and I hope they blindfold the son of a bitch, if he does not see his shadow, it's right around the corner. Spring is right around the corner, and we're ready to melt.
They figure it out.
Warm up.
Isn't it like if he runs back into his hole, it means that he saw a shadow and got scared?
Have you ever watched it though? They wrestle him out by the scruff of his neck.
No, I've never seen it.
It doesn't look like it. They're being super nice to the poor thing.
They did it at 7:20. They do it at 7:25 in the morning. And in 2018, 18,000 people were in the town square to watch it happen. The last 3 years, he has seen a shadow. Now, all of that said,
it's 136 years going.
Yeah, 136. The first year they did it, they didn't record what happened in 1886, but in 1887 he saw a shadow. That was the very first time, and they've done it every year since then.
That's an old groundhog.
Yeah, he's perpetual. They've got Punxsutawney obviously has and he's a movie star. Obviously there's a never ending. It's like a bulldog. One of those schools that has the bulldogs. They just keep replenishing them.
What's your prediction, Jeremiah?
The last 3 years he has seen his shadow. So I think tomorrow, and this is where we're kind of getting screwed by the weather. It has been cloudy for 20 days in a row. You're not going to see your shadow if it's cloudy.
That's why
now there's
lights.
some stupid ass sunlight. He's not going to see a shadow tomorrow, or he is going to see a shadow. So we're going to get 6 more weeks of winter. I think if it was still cloudy, no shadow. I think that's what it means.
What's the town?
Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania. Zach's going to check the weather forecast.
I'm checking something.
But here's the thing. He's wrong 60% of the damn time. So I think whatever he actually says, the opposite of it is the play. I think that's the truth here, is that if he says it's tomorrow, then
why don't they
then
just flip the tradition now?
Well, that would piss off the Dutch. And the last thing you want is angry Dutch. Clint Weaver says February is the Tuesday of the year.
Yeah.
Mark Foltz is looking. Don't forget the scoreboard. We have updated it, Mark. You should have shown up. I don't know. You're a co-host now, Mark.
You know Thursdays.
Do we have to remind you that you're due here on Thursday? You're getting worse than Dakota. You didn't even call in sick. Dakota makes up an excuse, maybe an hour before the show, maybe 2. But he tells us, and Mark is just not here.
Yep.
Now, next week, I won't be here. Zach says he can be here. Dakota might be here. Mark, you've got a show to do. You've got a show to do.
It'll be Zach's first
It's going to
solo
be Zach's
episode.
only solo show in the history of the podcast, all by Zach Burcham, doing it all. And he's just going to be in here fumbling, bitching about how he's never had any training.
Yep.
Okay, yeah. So sunrise today was 7:26 there. So
it's literally at sunrise.
It's at sunrise.
Okay. That makes sense.
Let's see what the forecast is for there. It's going to be 40 and cloudy tomorrow.
That means spring's right around the corner.
Good luck to them.
He can't see a shadow. It's going to be all right. With that information, he will not see a shadow, which says that they're going to say 6 more weeks of winter. No, it's going to mean that they say
spring is
right around the corner, but 60% of the time he's wrong every time. So 6 more weeks of winter.
Yeah, I think you're right.
You were screwed. At least Pennsylvania is. Indiana, I don't know. Punxsutawney, you're in trouble. Do you guys like the movie? You don't like the movie, Zach? It just how long has it been since you've seen it?
I think I've only seen 25 years. Probably.
Do you think you weren't?
Yeah, I think it's been the same.
Do you think you weren't the right age as an adult? Because people would watch Seinfeld and think it doesn't work.
I was never a big Seinfeld guy either.
Right.
I just watched those and didn't get them. I didn't get Napoleon Dynamite.
Napoleon Dynamite never struck for me.
I watched that.
I'm saying
and it was
now that you're a
like,
middle-aged guy, do you think that this show? Do you think maybe it could click for you and you go, oh,
it'll probably hit too close to home. Honestly,
yeah.
Let's be honest. At this point,
I mean, I don't know another movie where somebody
remade it. They've remade that type of movie many times. There's a Netflix actually made a limited series called Russian Doll, and it's based on the same philosophy, like
just her days just repeat.
Right, except she dies every time she dies, and then she wakes up. And it's same morning.
I mean, I remember enough that like there's a part in there in the middle of the movie where he just starts doing absurd things.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was like, you lost me. Like it just like
it gets good.
It should have been like an hour-long show, and it was like a movie. And I was like, yeah.
When he goes downstairs, spoiler alert, guys. I know it's a 31-year-old movie. Okay,
yeah.
When he goes downstairs in the Airbnb, in the B&B, the bread and breakfast, he grabs the toaster. He walks back upstairs, sits down in the tub, and drops the toaster in. And then they just cut back to the room and just the lights.
Yeah.
That is iconic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then when he's driving on train track.
The first time I saw that movie, I was too young to understand what that meant.
Oh, the toaster scene?
Yeah.
Your father didn't get you on his knee.
There's a reason why they got short cords.
No.
Well, you see, son, in electrical theory.
Now, we had the stickers all around my house. The never bathe with electronics around, because that's what the electric companies used to give those out.
Oh, yeah.
To kids and stuff. We don't do that anymore.
Ned Ryerson. Needle nose Ned. Come on.
Oh, that guy's annoying too. That character.
It's a great. I am one that would actually watch it tomorrow. Like if I've got nothing going on, I'd be like, oh, perfect day to watch this movie. Sit down. And it's like a Christmas Vacation. You've got to watch at Christmas time.
Yeah.
This is a movie that Bill Murray's comedy is very, very good.
Yeah.
It's not as juvenile as his stuff he did in the 80s.
Oh, Caddyshack.
It's just a good movie. It's well written. And it actually
but let's go back for a second
story.
here. Napoleon Dynamite's a great movie.
I watched that once. I watched it with April, my wife, and we both looked at each other at the end of that. We're like, we'll never get that time of our life back.
The whole point of the movie is that it's just dumb.
Well, see, and I like
there's no real plot.
Dumb
at
movies. I like I'm trying to think. What's
There's
the one
no
with
story.
McLovin? Superbad.
Superbad is spectacular.
Love Superbad.
See, I think this is where Zach
But
and
see,
I
it's
being
different. There's a plot.
Zach and
a
I
story.
Zach and I being the world's oldest millennials versus Dakota. I think it's a different. We're like that Gen X side of millennials, and Dakota's generation. Sarah's the same way. Sarah's closer to Dakota's age, 1990 and beyond, where Napoleon Dynamite works for them.
Right.
If you're born in the 80s,
What about Nacho Libre? Similar
Never seen
vein.
it.
I never watched it either. I know it's Jack
What?
Black.
And
I never watched it.
That's got to
you know
be
what?
one of my
It was
top 5 favorite movies.
It was a crappy DVD that I never picked up.
I have acknowledged that there's
Wow.
some stuff I've watched, and I don't think I've actually watched anything that Jack Black likes. I've seen Shallow
School of
Hal.
Rock. You never saw School
seen
of Rock?
Never seen School of
I
Rock.
love Jack Black.
But
everything Tenacious
Whatever,
D. You've never seen
Nacho
Tenacious
Libre or
D?
whatever. I looked at the cover, like the poster, basically for that movie, and was like, no.
Saving Silverman
I've seen Saving Silverman.
is a must-watch movie.
I've seen that like once.
Have you ever
and
seen
it's
that one,
like-
Dakota?
No.
I'm like, I don't know. I guess I'm a nerd because I thought to myself today is like, Dakota's like,
You
how
see
do you
the
get
cover.
stuff done? I went home last night after the podcast and watched the last Harry Potter movie and finished that. But I thought to myself, like, I need a real crappy day of weather, make my kids real mad, and just watch Lord of the Rings for an entire weekend.
Maybe.
Saving Silverman, Dakota, is a 2001 movie. Tell me if you recognize these actors and actresses here. Steve Zahn,
Oh yeah, definitely. All of them. Yeah,
Jason
I do.
Biggs, Amanda Peet,
I don't know him.
Jack Black. Oh, you should know Amanda Peet. And then Neil Diamond plays himself, and he plays a major
Shocker.
major
Neil Diamond
role.
plays himself.
He plays a major role in the in the program. Amanda Peet, by the way, is 52 years old. You may recognize her from The Whole New Nine Yards.
I think this scene.
I don't know what that
Or the
movie is.
quote or the thing I saw today. I'm not sure how timely it was that the woman who plays the like clerk in Christmas Vacation at the counter that Clark Griswold is like flirting with in the red
He's
thing.
like 80.
She's 70. I think it's like it must be Martin Scorsese's like daughter or some Scorsese. Nicolette Scorsese, I think's her name.
I'm going to show Dakota an image here from The Whole Nine Yards of Amanda Peet that he probably will want to watch the program.
There's so many
She's-
movies that are like back from the day that there were.
What's The Whole Nine Yards about?
The Whole Nine Yards is a spectacular film. It is about dentistry.
I've never seen it.
You never saw The Whole Nine Yards
No.
either? The Whole Nine. So of movies that had a sequel made, they're actually good. The Whole 9 Yards and The Whole 10 Yards. It is the late Chandler Bing,
Oh yeah,
Matthew Perry, Amanda Peet, and Bruce Willis.
I don't really remember Amanda Peet. I probably know if I saw her.
And I think I want to say Ving Rhames.
There was a whole bunch of those female leads that were like huge when I was a kid and then just disappeared.
Yeah, if you've never, this is like peak high school timeline for me here. Michael Clark Duncan, not Ving Rhames. I'm sure somebody
I
was
was
in their car
4
yelling.
when the Whole
Oh
Nine
yeah, I
Yards
remember
came
Amanda
out.
Peet.
Yeah. Great movie. $41 million movie. This is like the niche that they
What was
don't
the
make
last
anymore.
great movie that you guys saw that came out like in the last couple of years?
Great movie.
One that I actually enjoyed.
Yeah.
And would go back and watch again. At this point, I am down. I'm getting into my grumpy old man phase. I'm getting down to where I only like they have completely given up on. They've completely given up on my genre.
They've
Or what
completely
was
given
my
up on
genre?
comedy.
Right.
It's
And-
gone.
and-
It's not coming
Yeah.
back.
And
It's dead.
anything Judd Apatow makes at this point, I will go see. And anything that Adam McKay makes, I will go see. If it is in those worlds or those, like, if it has that DNA in it, I'm in.
I was gonna
Otherwise,
say,
I don't care. I don't need another damn Marvel movie.
I was gonna say Joker for me.
So I haven't seen any of the Marvel anything. I just don't care.
Joker's not a Marvel movie.
or
Superman hero
or
whatever.
I haven't seen any Superman
Comic book
heroes.
movies.
There's no superhero in Joker.
Joker. Okay, but it's about
It is. It's a Batman. It's the Batman universe.
it's a Batman universe, whatever. So it's whatever.
Yeah, but it's not a superhero movie.
Whatever. I haven't seen anything that related to comic books.
Comic books and superheroes.
Comic
Out.
books, none. I didn't.
He's a Star Wars nerd now, folks.
Yeah, well, I never saw any like the Transformers movies, and I even thought to myself, the rabbit hole I decided I might need to jump into next is to finish out the Fast and the Furious series because that was like that started when I was a kid.
See, I never liked those.
And see, like right now, people who are car people realize that January 1st, 2024 is a huge year because the R34 Skyline became legally importable into the United States under the 25-year import rule. And the only reason anybody cares about R34 Skylines is because it's Brian Connor's car in Fast and the Furious. It's a great car, but it's the same reason why DeLoreans would not be famous.
As soon as I typed in R3.
Exactly. It's a legend. And the only reason like anybody cares about DeLoreans is because of Back to the Future. And so it's one of those cars that's iconic because of a movie.
It's a pretty cool car.
That's it nicknamed Godzilla. And apparently if you drive one of those cars, they're like 30 years ahead of their time.
Wow, look at that one.
Mel Brooks makes very few movies, Dakota. So
Mel Brooks stuff. See, Mel Brooks stuff, my wheelhouse. I love Mel Brooks movies. Spaceballs. I don't know how often I think to myself, oh, is that what are all these bubbles? That's not Mr. Radar. That's Mr. Coffee. And like, I mean, even just watching the Star Wars, I thought to myself, merchandising, just great. I mean, like, Robin Hood Men in Tights was fantastic.
That's a good movie.
Blazing Saddles is great.
The Producers. Did you watch The Producers?
I have not seen The Producers. I could probably venture to that.
There's the remake. There's two of them, right? There's one back in the day, and then there's a remake. Will Ferrell is the Nazi sympathizer. If I do nothing other than that for a sales job for you,
a couple years
the entire
ago,
premise of it is they're trying to make the shittiest Broadway show ever. So they sign up to make Springtime for Hitler, which is a pro-Nazi propaganda Broadway show.
History of the World Part 1.
Yes.
It's great.
Never seen it.
Hulu has a series based upon that.
Are those Monty Pythons?
No,
that's his. That's one of
Brooks.
his. Okay,
that's Mel Brooks.
He has a Dracula movie too, doesn't he? Vampire or something.
Oh, Young Frankenstein. Young Frankenstein is
he has a
amazing. Is
Dracula Dead and Loving It. Yeah.
Oh, he did a book, and I was like, well, listen to a podcast, so it just must have been a couple years ago, but it could have been a decade ago. He did a book or something, and he did a media tour and was doing a bunch of interviews, and a lot of them with Rob Reiner, and I was catching every one of them I could because he was still sharp as a tack and still funny. I love politically incorrect humor too. We need more of it.
And I've never seen that. This is one that you guys will probably have seen, but you'll be surprised that I've never seen. I've never seen any of the Naked Gun movies.
Leslie Nielsen is spectacular.
They are spectacular.
I keep seeing clips pop up on Instagram, and they
are
so
as good
funny.
as it gets.
An Airplane is
nice beaver.
But they are just like rolling jokes, slapstick.
No, the worst.
And man, the OJ being in there,
there's a lot of
adds a twist to it now. Like there's a
lot of timely humor from the 80s that is you look back and you just laugh at it now.
Yeah,
but the Queen of England is very important in it.
Oh my gosh,
it's a massive baseball movie.
What about, speaking of the Queen of England, the Johnny English movies? Those were big for me whenever I was growing up.
And I'm well aware of Mr. Bean.
Yeah, I was going to say that is the B catalog of Rowan Atkinson films.
Yeah, everything that Rowan Atkinson did, I was a huge fan of growing up. I got it really into Blackadder.
Nerd.
I was kind of tangentially aware of Mr. Bean because would see some of his that stuff, and it was funny. The dude's.
If you've never seen Rat Race,
I have.
That has two things. Years. It has one, Nazi humor. Greg Lentz would have appreciated it. Rest in peace. Two. Not dead yet. Jesus. God, Dakota, you're out of control.
I had to think of some chats to figure out if I was behind on something there.
Two, it has Rowan Atkinson and your boy Newman from Seinfeld and the dinosaur movie.
I know almost nothing about Seinfeld, and then my only experience now with Seinfeld, and I probably mentioned on here before, is I listened to a podcast that is hosted by Spike Feresten, who wrote The Soup Nazi. That was his episode. And so he has Seinfeld on all the time. And in that context, it's a car podcast, big car people. I love Seinfeld. He's this kind of interesting, very interesting personality with cars and stuff. And just like he understands it. He has FU money, has money, just do whatever he wants. And he's got an interesting personality with that. But I just never cared.
All right, Dakota. I won't be back for 2 weeks. I'm going to assign you some Boss Hog Book Club responsibilities. I need you to watch at least one, if not two. I need you to watch Saving Silverman, and I need you to watch The Whole Nine Yards. These are both movies that came out when you were young, and you're now a man. You're old enough to see them.
I'll probably watch.
You
Saving
cannot watch the
Silverman
whole
at
9
least.
yards of
Saving
Jackson.
Silverman, I think, was pretty good.
Saving Silverman is about a Neil Diamond cover band that is being broken up by a chick.
I'm trying to think of movies from the early 2000s that I watched that were comedies. Click.
I didn't really watch
Adam
Click.
Sandler.
I like Adam Sandler stuff, but there's some Adam Sandler stuff I just didn't get into.
Man, I love Adam Sandler too.
Click
Billy
was-
Madison, Happy Gilmore.
Yeah,
those are classics.
Those are
classics.
Happy
I
Madison
never
worked
got
in
into
those.
like Little Nicky.
Yeah,
Those are good. That was good too.
They-
Anger
they-
Management. What about that one?
Yeah, that's good. There's a fork in the road with Adam Sandler, and you get to Big Daddy is fine, but once you get to that Click and that kind of veering into the drama side, you get yourself in a little bit of trouble. 51st Dates is one of the best movies of all time. Great movie.
Yes, man. Bruce Almighty.
Oh, like you see, I'll tell you what. That's the same thing to me with Jim Carrey.
Grandma's Boy.
Earlier Jim Carrey stuff, amazing. Ace Ventura: Pet Detective.
Yeah, it's
Oh yeah.
is some of the greatest. I like
The Wedding Singer for
Sandler is
Adam
pretty
Sandler
good, yeah.
is as good as it gets.
I mean,
that's canon.
Like who? I mean, you know, a whole generation of men and women. Because I know, like, my cousin loved Ace Ventura movies. When the Bills missed that kick, we're like, "Laces out, Dan!" And
Yeah.
you know, like that's a quote that's in. And anytime I parallel park, I get on like a glove. You know,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, just amazing.
That one is one of the all-time greats.
I'm trying to look. Yeah, I don't know when the last time I saw like a great
great
movie.
comedy.
I honestly, man, I'm like the Big Short and Vice. Like Adam McKay is probably the last person.
Mr. Deeds.
That's not a recent movie, but as far as like the recent stuff that gets made that actually shows up, I'm probably there. That's pretty much the last of what I give a damn about.
It's so different now too because we're not super into. I'm still going back to the no Adam Sandler. Like The Longest Yard is such a good movie.
The model
All
has
these are
completely
great.
changed. The model has changed to where now if you are making these movies, you have to make them for a world distribution audience. So you can spend your $200 million on it, enough to buy an F1 team, or you spend $8 million and you go direct to Netflix.
Wait, is
Or
American
Amazon.
Psycho a comedy?
It's a dark comedy. Yeah.
I didn't know that. I've never seen that movie.
Yeah, and honestly, like the whole 9 yards is kind of in that category too, a little bit, not quite as dark as American Psycho.
I've never seen that one. I mean, I liked back in the day because it was one of those first movies. I don't know if it was the first, but had two different layers of comedy on it. And evidently, Michael Myers is not a very good guy to work with. That's why they ended. Shreks were great.
Oh yeah, they were
The Shrek
best.
movies were great, and I was.
Do you know that they had recorded Shrek entirely
Oh yeah,
with Chris Farley?
yes, I believe I
All
heard that.
but like 3 scenes, and then he passed away. His brother was given the opportunity to
fill it in.
fill it in, and he was too depressed and couldn't do it. So then they completely changed it up, brought Mike Myers in, and made him Scottish.
I did not know that Willem Dafoe is in American Psycho.
Yeah, he's good at the stuff.
He's
He's
great.
good at being crazy.
He's in my all-time favorite movie, which would be The Boondock Saints.
I saw one that at one point back in the day I saw a Spider-Man movie that he was in.
All right.
Yeah, the Green Goblin.
Mostly because of Kirsten Dunst.
What's
The
he
clock
say?
is telling us.
What's it? What? Hold on. What does the Green Goblin say in Spider-Man before he throws the grenade?
Let's note it that
I don't know.
Dakota doesn't want to end the show. He
Hold
wants
on.
to shut up.
Hold on. We got to
Dakota's
play this
wanting to go
because it's
longer?
going to drive me crazy.
Dakota, you got final thoughts coming up. You have time.
Okay. Yep.
We'll
you
come
do
back
your
to
final
you.
thoughts and I'll be ready.
Zachary, what do we need to know?
Lewis Hamilton's going to Ferrari next year. More race talk.
Is that real?
Apparently, Mercedes has announced officially that he has exercised his release after this next year.
So who's he replacing at Ferrari?
He'll be replacing.
We're boycotting F1. Why the hell
Yeah.
are we talking about this?
He'll be replacing Carlos Sainz, which is scary because of those who've watched any F1. I didn't watch that much this year. I watched very little.
Sainz.
Carlos Sainz, whose dad is a legend and just won Dakar again, and his son is a veteran in Formula One. I forget how old Carlos Senior is, but he
Probably your age.
no, he's older than that. but he's replacing him. The scary thing about that is that Carlos is the best strategist on that team because he did a couple things during the year where he was obviously smarter than everybody else and was playing 4D chess when his team was routinely playing like checkers and struggling with it. 1962, so he is 61 and just won Dakar again. Because he reportedly, Carlos Sainz, his dad is a legend with Audi, and the Audi is going to be coming into Formula One somehow. And what's interesting about this is that now Fernando Alonso is reportedly talking to Mercedes, and there's going to be there could be a massive amount of movement.
There's one seat open, and everybody's going to upgrade one
There's
spot.
about to be like a bunch of movement, and we'll see because this is an interesting thing just because you thought that they were. I just forgot that Toto Wolff was going to keep him there for as long as possible, but I don't know if he just didn't think he was going to get his 8th title there. And I thought to myself too, a random thing, he wants his 8th title. And I was telling my mom, who doesn't care about racing either, like Dakota, all these drivers that have 7, and you got Dale Sr., Jimmy Johnson, Richard Petty, Michael Schumacher, and they all have 7. None of them can get to 8, and he's trying. So that'll be interesting to see how that rolls out because there'll be a bunch of driver movement based on that. So
Zach, is your streak still going?
Yes. I am rough though.
What's your day? You've been saying that for 2 months.
I've been saying it for 2 weeks. I donated. I'm telling you what, I've screwed up again. I donated blood 2 weeks ago tomorrow. And I should have learned because I did it last year and it wrecked me. And last year I did a double red. I'm trying to look up because I already opened up the app today. So it's not showing me. Let's see what the all time is because it's like 762 days. And I've not had a good run since. And part of it I couldn't tell because of the snow, but I've got like 2 good miles in me, and I literally just cannot go any faster or any farther, really, which is not good.
I finally ran over 2 miles this week.
So I'm gonna take a couple of my 2 mile runs and probably make them 1 mile the next couple of weeks and try and get caught up a little bit and evidently get my blood volume back up or something.
And you're still coaching.
I ran with the cross country. I don't run with them every day, but like today I was off early to get my mom home, and then I was off for something else on Tuesday, and then tomorrow I'm off of work. All the government work, I got all that time to burn. But so if I'm home at 3:30, I go run with the team, and if not, I run by myself. So yeah, they're almost into track season.
Dakota, tell me what's
Godspeed, Spider-Man.
That's the meme.
now it's explicit for violence.
We'll go explicit. I'll go my favorite scene in Superbad when he accidentally headbutts. What's her name? I can't remember. She's real famous now.
Emma Stone?
Yeah, he headbutts Emma Stone. I had that like 6-second clip on my old like a flip phone for like years. I would play it just for fun.
God, that movie old enough. It was on a flip phone for you.
It was on a flip phone for me. Yeah.
Oh, you just cut right into my soul, Zach. You really did.
I have to play something else.
You really did.
Yeah.
Superbad. Is young Jackson Davis old enough to watch Superbad yet?
not based on the scene I just said.
Can we show that movie to the boy?
It is a great movie. I do genuinely like dumb comedies. So I don't know why Napoleon Dynamite just didn't work for me. But
there's this hilarious part where Willem Dafoe is doing an interview for the Boondock Saints movie, and he's describing his character. And this is it. But Audrey and I use it all the time.
I also stepbrother.
He's gay, but he has a special connection to classical music. There's many things that are interesting.
But it's become very TikTok famous.
Yeah, it's hilarious. Audrey and I use that all the time to talk about our dog Hank.
Final thoughts on my side. Rolex 24 was this last weekend. It was almost the Rolex 24. It was the Rolex 23 hours and 58 minutes.
Massive controversy.
Somebody accidentally threw the checkered flag 2 minutes early in a 24-hour race. Our boy Kyle Robbins, very much a friend of the show, almost achieved co-host status. He's a crew member, and he lived through his first Rolex 24. Was texting with him today. He made the TikTok feed for the Ray Hall Letterman Lanigan team. So if you check their TikTok, They were checking in at 2:30 in the morning with the crew, and they were all sleeping. I said, "Were you acting in that, Kyle, or what?" He says, "I don't know." He says we'd do a pit stop. I would lay down against the pit wall, and I don't know how much I slept, but somebody would be on the radio yelling at me, "Okay, we got to pit the car again." I'd wake back up and cut and change tires again. That was his job.
I believe that the shock that at least some member of his family had was that I think did they just use, and I remember I was at the IMSA race at Indy, they only use one pit stall. So if you have two cars, then
You're doing
it's
it all.
one pit crew, and they bring the cars in for fuel every 40 minutes or so. So if you have two cars every 40 minutes, you're basically doing, and they're not, obviously they're going to be kind of stacked up.
You're
but
doing 2 pit stops.
You're doing a pit stop averaging like every 20 minutes for 24 hours.
The other Rolex 24 story that I found to be super interesting. 17 years and 191 days old. Connor Zilic won the Rolex 24 in the LMP2 class, which I think is the second highest, maybe arguably second or third highest class. But the kid won at 17 years old.
Is he the youngest?
Second youngest to ever win the race. A Rolex watch. He gets the watch. It doesn't fit him. So he goes into he tweets this out. He goes into the Rolex store, and they're like, "This kid's lying to us. This is not a real Rolex." And then he opens the box up, and they go, "Oh, shit, it's real."
It would have class winner engraved on the back of it.
He came rolling in with the box without them seeing the watch.
Oh.
And they thought, nope, this guy's lying to us.
Sucker.
We don't know what it is.
Guess what the watch is called, Dakota? It's a Rolex Daytona. You win a Rolex Daytona when you win the Rolex 24 Hours of Daytona. They named the watch after the race.
That's really cool.
That's hilarious, though. Like, if I listen to another podcast that sometimes discusses watches, that sounds 100% like Rolex. So Rolex is like snobbery above snobbery.
Yep.
Yeah, his tweet he sent out yesterday. Got my new watch fitted today. Walked into the jewelry store with my big box, and 2 employees told me it was a fake. Then they opened up and they went, "Oh!"
It's a super valuable one, actually. Yeah, it's more valuable than a standard Rolex Daytona.
Yeah, there you go, Dakota. Connor Zilic, 17 years old, owner of a $30,000 Rolex watch.
So, yeah,
good to be Connor. I think that's the end of our show. Is there anything else we forgot?
I don't think so.
I think we're there. All right. Keep giving blood. The last week I gave that plea talking about the family member. He is back home, but continues to need blood. So if you didn't get a blood donation scheduled, jump on the Indiana Red Cross, the American Red Cross website, or Versity, and do your part. If you're possibly able to do it during the wintertime, really important thing to do. With that, maybe there's a show next week. If not, we'll be back in 2 weeks. And I know in 2 weeks, we have Dakota's White Whale scheduled.
That's correct. I'm not going to say who it is. It's going to be a surprise.
Until they're in the chair.
Until they're here. But it's something else. Stay tuned. We'll see you soon.